Hello, everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to the Potterverse podcast pre-show. Say that 5 times fast, my friends. Potterverse podcast pre-show. Potterverse podcast pre-show. Potterverse podcast pre-show. Potterverse podcast pre-show. Can't even do it, but I bet I could if I really focused on it. Nonetheless, welcome. So excited to have you here tonight as we are live going to be delving into chapter 3 of The Goblet of Fire. The invitation.
The Goblet of Fire.
Pretty excited about this. This, of course, is the time when you get to hit that share button. So friends on Facebook, do us a favor. Hit that share button onto your wall. Share it onto your stories, your favorite Harry Potter groups, and Messenger with a Harry Potter friend. I mean, we all know someone who's read Harry Potter. Am I right?
You know a nerd that has read Harry Potter.
Like, no joke. I feel like everyone watching right now needs to come back here and say Expecto Patronum. That is your magical way of letting us know that you shared this video.
In one platform or the other.
Yes. And honestly, if it's like Facebook Messenger, if you just message that one friend who you're like, hey, I remember that you used to love the Harry Potter series also, or, you know, check this on out. You may like this book club that these friends are doing. So come on back after you shared in one way or another. And write Expecto Patronum. We would love to have you here. And we will shout those of you out who have written Expecto Patronum. The other thing that we'd like to see is those of you who are members at jointhenerdclan.com. You can write the hashtag GoNerdClanGo. And we'll also give you a shout out that way. So happy to have everyone here tonight.
That's right. So let's do some shout outs real quick. See what we got. We got Caitlin, as always.
Thank you,
Expecto
Caitlin.
Patronum. Thank you so much. This is Grace's first time viewing live.
Yay!
She and her 5 kids are watching from California.
Hello,
Grace and Grace's children.
Yay. Hi, everybody.
Welcome, everyone.
How old is everyone?
That is awesome. Welcome to the show.
Allison Fisher, Expecto Patronum, thank you so much for sharing. Caitlin, of course, has her Go Nerd Clan Go. We've got Amy, who gives her Expecto Patronum. Thank you for sharing, as well as Anne and Suzanne and Rachel and Grace and another Suzanne. Hi, Ash, how are you? Phyllis gave her Go Nerd Clan Go, as well did Ellen. And thank you for sharing, Angela and Ashley. Friends on Instagram, we see you, Amanda, Melissa, and Ciro, Bless, and Bunny. How are you? Let us know for fun, everybody, where you're tuning in from, what your Hogwarts house is, and would you eat cake that was hidden underneath your floorboard for quite some time?
I'm gonna leave that to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Grace says 16, 14, 10, 5, and 1.5. Girlfriend.
Awesome.
Bless you.
Fun ages, too.
Very, very fun ages.
Let's see. We got a few more Expecto Patronums. Can you tackle those? Friends on Instagram, don't forget, you can do a little screenshot and pop it into your stories. Tag us, Maryanne Blake Media. Sharing is caring when it comes to the podcast world.
And we got Jayella
Thank
and
you for
Casey
sharing.
and Ash and Tracy. Everyone, thank
hi,
you so much for the
Tracy.
Expecto Patronums and for the Go Nerd Clan Goes. Absolutely. Rachel says, as a Hufflepuff, absolutely I would eat old floorboard cake.
Oh my goodness. I love it. All right, so you ready to get this podcast started?
Yeah, let's make a podcast, shall we?
Now remember, we go live for your viewing pleasure, so keep the conversations going. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is, keep it going. Banter with each other, ask each other questions. This is what makes the live experience fun, in addition to sharing it. So if you haven't shared yet, please do. Come on back here and say Expecto Patronum. Even as I said, just sharing it in Facebook Messenger with a fellow Harry Potter fan. A little goes a long way when it comes to recommending the podcast.
All right, nerds, we're going to get ready to make a podcast, but of course, there is always the 10 seconds for...
Room tone.
That a girl.
All the way from Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to the Potterverse. It's a podcast dedicated to the book and film universe of Harry Potter. So grab your favorite wands and time turners. Let's step into the night and pursue that flighty, tempestuous adventure. Welcome, everybody. How's it going? My name is Mary Larson.
My name is Blake, and there is no way I'm eating floorboard cake. Not going to happen.
I might.
Think of all the dust that gets into the cake.
I mean, the dust is like the least of my worries.
Well, spiders and like.
I'm worried about like mold.
Like, what if a spider like just happens to crawl in there because it's like
you
know,
eat 7
moist
a
and whatever?
year?
Yeah, but what if it lays an egg? In there, or like
I
a
doubt
bunch
they
of
would
eggs.
live because of your acidic stomach acids.
All of a sudden,
it's magic cake, Blake. They
all of
probably
a sudden,
bippity boppity boot it.
All of a sudden, you got spiders crawling out of your nose. And
as Rachel says, hashtag floorboard cake. I think that they would have put a special thing on their cake so that they would be transported safely, and that Harry could eat on them.
I am out
for a month.
Out on
until
floorboard
school
cake.
Starts.
No chance.
Oh my goodness gracious! Well, we are of course
new
tackling
shirt.
Chapter 3 of the Goblet of Fire, titled "The Invitation." We're coming for you, whether the Muggles like it or not. You can't miss the World Cup. Only Mom and Dad reckon it's better if we pretend to ask for their permission first. If they say yes, send Pig back with your answer pronto, and we'll come and get you at 5 o'clock on Sunday. If they say no, send Pig back pronto, and we'll come and get you at 5 o'clock on Sunday anyway.
Good question here, Mary.
I would have written the same thing.
Yes, you definitely would have.
This is why there's many times where I'm like, I'm a lot like Ron.
You are definitely Ron. Absolutely. My question, though, is I firmly believe that Ron would show up in the Fort Anglia to get Harry, because we've seen it done before in Chamber of Secrets. I don't think that Molly and Arthur are picking up Harry without permission. I don't see it happening. Like, we're just taking him. Sorry, see you later.
I mean, it depends how badly he's being tortured. If they showed up and saw that he was being mistreated, they would. And with Ron explaining to them how he's been mistreated, I bet you she'd be like, let me go see for myself. And then she'd knock on the door and see how badly he's mistreated and say, you're right, we're going to take him. Snap her fingers.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe not. But anyway, before we get into the rest of this chapter, we wanted to remind you all that we've got some really cool things happening this here weekend at jointhenerdclan.com. So jointhenerdclan.com. If you haven't visited it yet, I would like you to do it today. Heck, if you're listening in your podcast app and you're not driving, swipe down, open up into Safari or your regular,
Google
web
Chrome.
browser, and type in jointhenerdclan.com. It is the place where you can become a patron of Blake and Mine. It's pretty much like, when you watch PBS and it's supported by listeners and viewers like you. So are our podcast. So is the studio. So is our website fee. So is everything that we are able to do for you. So from the goodness of your hearts, if you feel like spending less than a cup of coffee on us once a month, it's $2 to join at jointhenerdclan.com. We have some fun things, especially in store for you this weekend. So tomorrow on Friday, there's going to be a live Zoom at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where our friends at jointhenerdclan.com get to literally be on Zoom, hang out, ask us questions, just face-to-face, voice-to-voice. And then Monday night, Memorial Day night here in the U.S., at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be doing a live watch-along for the very first episode of The Last Kingdom, which is going to be the brand new podcast show that we podcast about starting in June. So we figured, we'll do a watch-along all together, be able to chat about it. So if you've watched the show before, you can come on in and relive it. If it's your first time, you get to watch it with some friends virtually. So be sure to be at jointhenerdclan.com. Sign up if you're not already a member there. And we're good to show. I'm so excited. Let's get into the show.
Let's do it.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
In this minuscule chapter about the size of Pig, we learned that all of the Dursleys, including Harry and Dudley, are on a diet because of Dudley's obesity that has made him the size of a small killer whale, because he just eats whatever he wants. There's no limitations when it comes to presents and when it comes to cake and chocolates and goodies. It's amazing. The Dursleys actually get a letter from Mrs. Weasley explaining that she'd love to take Harry to the Quidditch World Cup and keep him for the rest of the summer. And that happens. And they have to end up saying yes.
And that's it. Because serious.
It's super short.
Small chapter here, Mary. You got to read your quote. Oh, you read your quote. Sorry. Oh, man, I got to play.
We are out of it.
How to tell when the hosts aren't listening.
Sorry about that, Mary.
It's okay. Some of my favorite things in this chapter, we start things off and it's just your regular morning with the Dursleys, which I feel like we start so many of the books with. Just eating breakfast and people being rude to Harry in the process. So where food plays a major role in the Harry Potter series. We like to talk a lot about how Scotland is another character, a major character in watching Outlander.
Sure.
When you're talking about Harry Potter,
I
would say that food is one of the characters. Because so many of the places are rich of the smells, and the food is part of the experiences. I mean, you think about anything on the from the trolley,
right.
You think about all these magical things, and also, when you're at the Dursleys, the author always talks about the different food and smells that are going on there. So I just kind of love that we're getting a very different experience. We've had, all these different puddings, and we've had all this luscious, delicious food, and now we get slices of grapefruit. You think about the tartness. I like grapefruit. Listeners who are watching live, tell us, are you a grapefruit fan or not? I am a grapefruit fan.
Out. Grapefruit is the worst.
What is the worst is they're only each getting a quarter of a grapefruit.
That's true. And who knows how big the grapefruit is, because there's different sizes of grapefruit.
They're pretty decent size, but each of them only gets a quarter of that.
I think I would rather eat a spider than eat grapefruit. Ooh. It's close. It's, remember that show? What was the name of that show? Fear Factor?
Yes.
Yeah. If you had to put a grapefruit in front of me or a spider to eat, I'd have to think about it.
Wow.
I'd have to think about it. I hate grapefruit that much.
Wow.
It's
I
awful.
did not know that it was this strong of a hatred.
I hate it
for
almost as much as I hate
fruit.
coconut. Almost as much as I hate coconut.
Would you eat coconut over a spider?
Oh, that's a tough conversation too. I'd at least be willing to talk.
I literally eat anything except if I'm allergic to it.
Oh, grapefruit sucks.
I even tried an anchovy. I'd never had anchovy before, but I tried that out.
Oh.
I was like, this is how you make a Caesar salad authentic. Bloop. Try that sucker out. So, this whole grapefruit situation comes from the fact that the Dursleys got a letter from Dudley's school saying that he's a bit of a pill and a bully.
Yeah.
To which they just write it all off, like, whatever.
I love how it's written. It's Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia had managed to find excuses for his bad marks. As usual, Aunt Petunia always insisted that Dudley was a very gifted boy whose teachers didn't understand him, while Uncle Vernon maintained that he didn't want some swatty little nasty boy for a son anyway. They all skated over to the accusations of bullying in the report. He's a boisterous little boy, but he would never hurt a fly, said Aunt Petunia tearfully. Oh, yeah.
But then they get to a part that they can't just brush off.
Yeah, a couple of questions for you, Mary. First, do you think, as a teacher, when did all of a sudden parents start turning around on teachers as opposed to taking it to their kids?
Great question. It was after we went to school.
Yeah, I would say after we went to school.
So I graduated high school in 2000, and Blake graduated in 2001. And I remember telling my parents, this teacher is giving me some issues or isn't treating me fairly. And they were like, well, you got to work it out.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
your teacher. And I was like, are you kidding me? And now if that was nowadays, oh my goodness gracious. So when did it happen? I'm thinking back when I started teaching, so that was 2004, 2005, it was already there.
Yeah.
And it just got worse. It was there. It was the inklings of you need to be afraid of these parents that may challenge you. But then by the time it was 2014, it was atrocious. When I was teaching that year, there was one girl I had done, for those of you who don't know, I was a music teacher prior to podcasting and raising my kids and staying home. So I was doing just choral exercises, and I was doing voice testing to see where people needed to be seated. And I generally like to teach the middle school age with a changing voice.
Mm-hmm.
And a girl who had previously been soprano was no longer soprano. Female voices can change as well. So I moved her to alto, and she was so mad that she was now an alto. It doesn't matter. Actually, altos are more fun. I got to tell you, it's like a really interesting part. She just went to the bathroom for the entire class because she wanted to be seated as a soprano, and she couldn't hit the notes. And I was like, listen, my friends, like, it's okay. Like, alto, I'm an alto. It's really a great thing. She was so mad.
Yeah.
And then her parents complained, and the principal had me come in and was like, this girl wants to be a soprano. And I was like, physically, she is not, though.
Is she a
what
dog?
Are we doing?
She can't be a dog either. So
how is she not in trouble for skipping my whole class? She wasn't crying either, because kids went to go check up on her.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I just don't like her. I just don't like Mrs. Larson.
Wow.
So I'm just going to sit here.
Wow.
So I gave her a 0 that day for sitting in the bathroom.
I'm sure. I would too.
And then I got in trouble.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
See,
So by 2014, watch out, teachers. But
yeah, I would say a bunch of people here in the live are saying that like in the mid 2000s is when things started.
That's what I felt.
Things took a turn for kids.
People wonder why I paused teaching for a little while. Okay, so but here we are. This school is writing to the Dursleys saying, here's the scoop.
Your kid's a little...
And the parents do take it pretty seriously when it comes to the weight.
Well, that's my next question for you. Do you think the school here overstepping just a little bit? Sending home a diet plan for your kid?
I mean, this was a different school, you know? Like, I don't know how boarding schools work. I don't know if there's like athletic requirements for them, because I will tell you, at the first school that I taught at, athletics was a major part. It was a private school. Athletics was a major part, and they would be suggesting, they weren't like, your kid is overweight.
Well,
but that
makes sense, though. If athletics
but
are a big
that's what I'm
thing,
wondering. Like,
okay.
I feel like Dudley's school would have, and he talks about sports and upcoming books and stuff. Like, I feel like he would have an athletic aspect. Do I think that it's right of the school to send home something like this? No.
Yeah.
No. But maybe it was a health teacher. I feel like on the flip side, sometimes teachers do need to say, give a little nudge, you know, like if there's a kid that like, it's very different now too. I mean, here we are in 2021 and you got to tiptoe around everything. I feel like growing up, health teachers were allowed to send home notes being like, it's time to tell Joey he needs to start wearing deodorant and possibly showering every day. Like, they literally would send home things like that.
Sure.
And the parents weren't insulted like, oh, Joey, the health teacher says you stink. They were like, oh my gosh, I've grown so used to your stink that I didn't even notice, you know? And they just kind of took it as like a thank you, teacher, for like looking out for my kid, because that was the 80s and the 90s.
Yes.
And we grew up on Tang and Cheez-Its, you know? So of course we smelled.
And Dunkaroos.
We ate artificial orange dye the entire time. Surprised we're not glowing. So yeah, so I don't think that a letter like this would go home today.
Yeah, I don't think.
But they took it very seriously.
What would you do if a teacher sent it home to you to be like, one of our kids was like, hey, you need to like
lose some weight?
Yes, make your kid eat a little less Oreos. Why don't you try
well,
some
if it was like that, it would not be okay. If
Yeah.
it was something like where they're having issues in school, you may want to take them to the doctor.
Yeah, sure.
You know, if it came from out of a place of concern, if it was like the health teacher or the PE teacher, like, I'm actually concerned about this child, I'm recommending you go take them to their pediatrician.
Amy here says on Facebook, I mean, when you don't even make uniforms in that size, that might need to be shared somehow.
Right?
Because obviously that's where this all came from. They tried to get uniforms and he couldn't fit in the uniforms anymore.
Yeah.
Dudley, yeah.
It'd be very different in 2021. I will tell you, like, there is an exceptional movement that's been going on for the past couple of years about just accepting body diversity, because we are all not the same shape and size. So I don't think that this aspect of the book would have been written if it was written now. Or it would have come about in a very different way. Like, Dudley was kind of upset. Like, some girl that he was crushing on made some comment, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think that this would be the same if it was written now.
What do you think here about Petunia making everybody do the diet in the house?
that's what happened in my life.
Yeah.
When my parents would go on crazy diets like the cabbage diet or a lentil diet, that was the worst one. We ate lentils for lunch and dinner for very long. I'm still scarred by it. I still don't eat lentils because it was so bad.
I don't think I've eaten one lentil ever. I don't even know what a lentil looks like. If you showed it to me, I'd be like,
it's just
what
like
the
a
hell is
flat
that?
little disc. It's like a flat bean disc thing that's dry. It's probably not bad unless you're scarred by it. I will tell you, probably Harry Potter never eats grapefruit again.
Guaranteed.
You know?
There's a lot here that's going on with Dudley and the diet and everything. And another thing happens here too, the Dursleys, which I'm not surprised, they ignore Harry's birthday. I bring it up because the birthday has already happened. In the previous 3 books, we have been a part of Harry's birthday in some form or fashion.
Yes.
And this book continues to start much differently than the previous 3 books. In so much as, even at the end of this chapter, we're already invited to the Quidditch World Cup, and we're not doing Harry's birthday. We're not doing the trek to Diagon Alley. We're just going from the Dursleys straight to the Weasleys, straight to Quidditch World Cup, which is an interesting choice. Do you like that this book breaks that continuity?
Oh, yeah, because it's a fun thing breaking it up in the summer. I mean, we've all had those summer vacations that, go by in a blink of an eye because you really just do the same thing every single day. Mm-hmm. But when you have something momentous in your occasion, it breaks it up. It's like that vacation was stellar. And I feel like that's what this summer is going to be like for Harry. Mm-hmm. So we, of course, have this whole thing going on. We end up finding out that Harry, who did just have his birthday, knew that the Dursleys were not going to be celebrating his birthday, nonetheless making him sweet. So he writes to his beloved, his circle, his family, if you may say, the friends that are now family, his family. So we have Ron, Hermione, Hagrid, and Sirius, who all send him cakes. Surprisingly, Hagrid's cake was superb. Thoughts?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Why wouldn't his? I feel like he's got his own bakery. He's been doing cake and sausage for since 1981. So what are we talking about here?
I think he was watching the British baking show and got inspired.
Bakers, you have 2 hours.
Maybe his rock cakes just really are the worst, but maybe he made a great cake before.
That's right.
So, yeah, okay.
That's what I'm getting at. And I love that Hermione's parents sent all the sugar-free stuff because they're, in the parentheses, because they're dentists.
Yes. And Sirius sent the cake. I wonder if it was a bit like passion fruity and guava.
Well, because he's in Rio.
Yeah, it's a carnival.
Yeah, of course. He's having a party, man.
Then the doorbell rings.
And
here's where things get real.
Oh, I love this. And the way that it's written, too, is so spectacular. It's, where is it? Come on, where is the doorbell? Uncle Vernon heaved himself out of his chair and set off down the hall, quick as a flash. While his mother was occupied with the kettle, Dudley stole the rest of Uncle Vernon's grapefruit. Awesome.
I would too. You only got a quarter.
And then it goes back and it says, Aunt Petunia set the teapot down on the table and looked curiously to see what Uncle Vernon had got to. She didn't have to wait long to find out. After about a minute, he was back. He looked livid.
Yep.
You! He barked at Harry. In the living room, now. Oh, my goodness gracious. Love it, loved it. Mary's showing off her Hagrid's Bakery shirt.
Yes.
From the Mary and Blake store, by the way. Go to the MaryandBlakeStore.com to get all of your Potterverse merch. What do you think about this letter?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Molly Weasley at her kindest and finest. The overachiever.
Slightly judgy, too, by the way. Slightly judgy.
When I heard that she put that many stamps on it. That's a lot of stamps. That's a lot of money for the Weasleys.
Yeah, that's like, what, 50 cents a stamp? Oh, at the time.
But the equivalent would be now 55 cents a stamp, and to cover the whole envelope and to leave, so there's only a square inch of space to write the entire address.
You're looking at like $30 for this letter.
I loved this bit. We've never been introduced, but I am sure you have heard a great deal from Harry about my son, Ron. As Harry might have told you, the final of the Quidditch World Cup takes place this Monday night, and my husband, Arthur, has just managed to get prime tickets through his connections at the Department of Magical Games and Sports. I do hope you will allow us to take Harry to the match, as this really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Britain hasn't hosted the Cup for 30 years, and tickets are extremely hard to come by. We would, of course, be glad to have Harry stay for the remainder of the summer holidays and to see him safely onto the train back to school. And then, the coup de resistance. It would be best for Harry to send us your answer as quickly as possible, in the normal way, because the Muggle postman has never delivered to our house, and I am not sure he even knows where it is. Hoping to see Harry soon. Yours sincerely. P.S. I do hope we've put enough stamps on, which she, of course, did, since she covered the entire envelope.
And then Harry's response is, well, she did put enough stamps on then.
She did. She did. And I highly doubt the Muggle postman will be able to find it because they have all of the secrecy that goes on. So probably no Muggle even sees their house whatsoever. Yeah. This is where it gets a little confusing. So maybe she's just trying to be nice without explaining all of the ins and outs of the magical world.
And the postman noticed, he said, through gritted teeth. Very interested to know where this letter came from, he was. That's why he rang the doorbell. Seemed to think it was funny.
Funny? Think you're funny, do you?
Oh, man. It's so...
And then...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just love, what Harry says right away. So, can I go then? This whole interaction happens, and they're just kind of standing there looking at each other, and it's going through Harry's head oh, man, this is the worst thing. Some human in the Muggle world called out to Uncle Vernon that this was a little weird, a little funny. Yeah. Where did this come from? And then Harry's just waiting there, waiting. So can I go?
And he just and what's great is Harry totally dismisses the entire interaction, the everything that Vernon has brought up, and it continues on. A slight spasm crossed Uncle Vernon's large, purple face. The mustache bristled. Harry thought he knew what was going on behind the mustache. A furious battle as two of Uncle Vernon's most fundamental instincts came into conflict. Allowing Harry to go would make Harry happy, something Uncle Vernon had struggled against for 13 years. On the other hand, allowing Harry to disappear to the Weasleys for the rest of the summer would get rid of him 2 weeks earlier than anyone could have hoped. And Uncle Vernon hated having Harry in the house. To give himself thinking time, it seemed, he looked down at Mrs. Weasley's letter and said again, "Who is this woman?" That is exactly something that I would do if I got this letter.
I didn't like that he called her Dumpy. Dumpy sort of woman. Load of children with red hair.
Well, we all know that Vernon is not the most...
Vernon and Petunia.
Yeah, but especially Vernon. I mean, we got Vernon, I think it was in, Chamber of Secrets, making Japanese golfing jokes during his meeting. Not the most... He is not the most appropriate kind of fella. No. So I expect him to make this kind of comment.
Yes.
And the funny thing is that he makes an excuse for Dudley, yet he is judging Molly for being dumpy.
I think dumpy and size, I thought dumpy was more of a frumpy.
Frumpy.
Versus...
I would agree. And I think there's probably a little bit. There's probably a little bit of lost in translation from the Americanized version, or the American slang that we have, and maybe the British slang that he is using. But as an American reading,
it says of a person short and stout. The dress makes her look dumpy. Okay, for some reason I always kind of took it as just sloppy.
It is. Well, dumpy is, to me, my definition of it. Dumpy to me is you're like a dump truck. And you're big and you're just kind of dumpy. That's it, And frumpy is you wear just you're out of touch with all style. And you're frumpy. Like you're wearing like a cat sweater. Like get out of here, guy.
I hear dump truck and I think of Cisco.
What? Oh. So a lot of focus on weight in this chapter,
which makes me very uncomfortable.
It makes me uncomfortable.
So let's move on to the parts that don't make us uncomfortable.
Fair enough.
Let's get to the good stuff.
Sure.
So they go through, let's send it via the owl. We get Vernon being super upset. And, he says, you stand there in the clothes Petunia and I have put on your ungrateful back. Only after Dudley finished wearing with them, said Harry coldly. And indeed, he was dressed in a sweatshirt so large for him. They had to roll back the sleeves 5 times so as to be able to use his hands, which fell past the knees of his extremely baggy jeans. So picture that. Picture wearing a sweatshirt where the armholes go past your knees. Picture having to roll something 5 times. If you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, you can play along with me right now as I roll my sleeves. I'm going to try to attempt to see what it would be like rolling it 5 times. You can talk.
Oh, yeah, sure. No problem.
I probably can't actually do it because my sweatshirt fits me, so I can't do it much more.
It's...
But then he says the magic word, Blake. You ready for the magic word?
Yes.
Okay, I can't see the World Cup. Can I go now then? Only I've got a letter to Sirius I want to finish. You know.
My godfather.
My godfather. And there was it. There was the magic word. Friends who are watching live or friends listening, do you have a magic word for someone in your life? Blake has a magic word for me. It's called yearbook.
Yearbook?
I mean, not yearbook. Reunion.
Reunion. The reunion rule.
Yes.
And what was the other rule that I made recently?
I don't know.
Oh, I made it too. And it was like, I'm going to invoke, the piano rule.
Oh, yes.
The piano rule.
Yes. So.
Tell them the piano rule real quick.
Basically, on a whim, someone was like, hey, can we please borrow your piano, your electronic piano? And I was like, oh, of course.
And the piano is a fixture in our home that is used.
But it's an electronic one.
Consistently every day.
Yes. So I was
throughout the day.
Sure. And then they were like, and can you transport it? Oh, okay.
Can you set it up for me too?
Can I use your iPad? So then I can use the pedal clicker that uses your iPad to turn the pages electronically. And then halfway through doing this, I'm like, uh-oh, I should have asked Blake. So, no, halfway I thought it, but then I didn't, and then it was what it was. So anyway, if any of you have a magic word where a loved one or a friend can say it to you and you're like, never mind, I'm going to completely change my decision about this matter, let us know what it is, because of course it changes Vernon's mind. Well, right then you can go to this World Cup thing. You write and tell those Weasleys there to pick you up, mind. I haven't got time to go dropping you off all over the country, and you can spend the rest of the summer there, and you can tell your godfather, tell him you're going.
Nancy here on Facebook puts it on, writes a comment, and it's true. It always goes back to the Godfather. Always goes back to the Godfather, Mary. Say it with me now.
Sure.
It always.
Harry goes back upstairs to his room, finds his wee little owl fluttering all around, carrying a note. It's Pigwidgeon, but we just learned that this little owl's name is Pig. Harry, Dad got the tickets. Ireland versus Bulgaria Monday night. Mom's writing to the Muggles to ask you to stay. They might already have the letter. I don't know how fast Muggle Post is, though I thought I'd send this with Pig anyway. And of course, Harry's just looking at this little crazy little owl. And this is where I started the podcast talking about how we're going to pick you up absolutely positively, no matter what. Harry writes back saying it's totally okay. I can come. And in the meantime, he then sends Hedwig out on a journey to send a letter to Sirius, which he writes, if you want to contact me, I'll be at my friend Ron Weasley's for the rest of the summer. His dad's got us tickets for the Quidditch World Cup. So this is where I get still a little confused about how owls work and how Post works, because he's now telling Sirius where he's going. But Harry doesn't know where Sirius is. Is it just because Sirius is going to be using owls or tropical birds that don't necessarily know Harry? So he can instead be like, all right, tropical bird that I don't know. Mm-hmm. Here's how you get to the Weasley's burrow. No one really knows. Welcome to Owl Post.
It's magic, man. It's magic. I also like how this is written here as well from the author as she closes out this chapter. The letter finished, he tied it to Hedwig's leg. She kept unusually still, as though determined to show him how a real post owl should behave, when in comparison, of course, to Pig. I'll be at Ron's when you get back, all right? Harry told her. She snipped his finger affectionately. Then, with a soft swooshing noise, spread her enormous wings and soared out of the open window. I love how that is written. Because you can feel it, you can sense it, you can see it.
You hear Hedwig's music taking flight.
Right, and you can feel and sense the wings opening up slowly as she prepares. And like she nips at his finger affectionately, like, okay, I'll see you later.
Gives her a little kiss.
Yeah,
kiss goodbye.
And then also how Hedwig is almost intelligently aware of how graceful she is, and how
she knows she's awesome, especially compared to Pig.
Right, and how Pig is just this little owl that just buzzes around everywhere excitedly. It's like
he's like Colin Creevy.
Yes. I was going to go with a baby dragon from How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay.
That's what I think of, and that is a deep nerd cut for you. That's a deep nerd cut.
Sound effect from that show.
That's a good point.
I do love how this ended, though.
Yes, that's what I wanted to follow up with you.
Oh, Harry watched her out of sight, then crawled under his bed, wrenched up the loose floorboard, pulled out a large chunk of birthday cake. He sat there on the floor, eating it, savoring the happiness that was flooding through him. He had cake, and Dudley had nothing but grapefruit. It was a bright summer's day. He would be leaving Privet Drive tomorrow. His scar felt perfectly normal again, and he was going to watch the Quidditch World Cup. It was hard just now to feel worried about anything, even Lord Voldemort.
Oh. Just when you think everything is fine and great, and you got cake, and your nemesis has grapefruit, and you think that Voldemort's not even in the picture, especially after last year when Voldemort really wasn't a thing.
No.
And yes, you kind of you had the nightmare, whatever, but you think that it's a dream. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about Voldemort. Whatever. Who cares? Not my problem. Not my chair, not my problem. But then we're going to get in some big issues. And that's a great way to end this chapter because it is setting you up for an expectation. You, as the reader, know. You know that Harry is allowing himself to be a kid.
Yeah.
And he can't be a kid. He simply can't. You have the dramatic irony. You're the chosen one. And you know
I am the chosen one.
By the author writing this, you know immediately that Voldemort's going to be a big deal coming up.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I like how that's done.
Dig it.
Anything else you got, Marvin?
Nope.
I got nothing either. You ready for a different perspective?
Sure.
You got one?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
There's actually other people in this chapter, so yes, I am.
Okay, let's go.
Holy cricket! You're Harry Potter! I'm Hermione Granger. And you are?
Pigwidge, you belly friends, call me Pig for short! I don't think I need to plug my nose, I don't. Okay, hi.
No, you have to talk like this.
I'm trying. My name's Pigwidge, and I'm really excited to be here because you know who I just met today? Harry freaking Potter! Play the sound effect.
I'm Harry freaking Potter!
I was totally out of key, but I'm an owl, so it's okay. So here's the scoop.
I'm an owl. What do you want from me?
So I'm now adopted by this guy named Ron, who I guess had a rat, who was a guy. I'm not a guy. I'm just an owl. It's so cool. and I'm going to the Quidditch World Cup in Hogwarts. I don't know. I feel like Vijay was just so happy. Are you all right? You know what I should do? I should narrate the Harry Potter books. Who needs Jim Dale? I will narrate for all the unspoken people. All the lines that were not mentioned.
I thought Crookie was the pinnacle of your voices, but Pigwidgeon.
Pigwidgeon loves life.
Pig is great.
Pig is...
Hey guys, what's going on?
Pig is like Enneagram 7, happy, ready to go. Let's do it. Spontaneity. Let's live life, man. Do you have cake?
I smell cake. Where's the cake? Where's the cake?
I don't know if owls can smell, but I probably can. Anyway, I can't. All right, enough
I
of
saw
that.
Hedwig do this. You nipped it in your finger. Where's the cake? Where's the cake? Sorry, I ran into your head.
You just gotta say it like super fast. End scene, Blake. I'm glad I can make you cry.
Holy smokes, Marvin.
If it ever makes anyone laugh, cry, please let me know. That is sometimes my goal.
That is...
Because when you get that, that's like good for your body. A laugh, cry.
Man, my stomach hurts. I was doing a workout today. That was nothing in comparison to you doing Pig.
Who needs Tony Horton?
Tony's out now.
Give me Pig Widgeon.
Just give me Pig. All right, let's do the listener questions. But of course, before we get into the listener questions, I want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by Minute with Mary.
Oh, yes. Yes. So in addition to podcasting and being a musician and being a mom to two amazing kids, I love to help people feel more confident and creative with their makeup and skincare. And I'm actually advancing my team actually this summer. We're going to be doing a little bit of wee growth. So if you ever wanted to hang out with me a little bit more and play with some makeup and skincare and kind of get your feet wet a little bit, I'd love to chat. I would love to chat. So you can send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. Just search for Mary Larson. And for fun, and I'll know what it means, send me an emoji that is just a lightning bolt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little lightning bolt emoji. And that's your way of saying, like, girlfriend, tell me a little bit more about this Minute with Mary stuff. Okay?
I like it.
So Facebook or Instagram, search for me, Mary Larson. Send me a lightning bolt emoji, and we'll chat.
Oh, Miles here.
Oh, Mary, I got to recover from your pig. Jeez. All right, so we don't have any emails today, but for those of you who are watching live, you can obviously ask us some questions. Just put a little lightning bolt emoji before the question so we know that is one that you would like us to address. And of course, if you're listening to this on the podcast app after the fact, you're not alone, my friend. It's okay. You can send us any amount of questions that you like about this book or previous books or maybe even future books or just anything you want to ask us. We're here to answer them. Just email us at maryanneBlakemedia@gmail.com, and we will include it in the next episode.
So if you do have questions, you can either rewrite it if you already wrote it, but use a lightning bolt emoji. That's our little way that we can quickly see it before your question. I see Courtney T on Instagram saying, would you be eating floorboard cake? Why doesn't he keep it in his trunk?
Maybe because they go through the trunk. I feel like Aunt Petunia would be one of those people to go through the trunk.
Dudley would probably go through the trunk.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think he just feels like this is the most sacred, secret place.
And does Harry... I was thinking about doing the different perspective myself.
Oh.
I was thinking about it.
Oh, hey.
But it wouldn't be funny. It would be more like I was going to be Vernon.
I mean, you know what, Blake? YOLO. Bring it on.
No,
just tell me what was going through your mind. Like, what's going through Vernon's mind?
Harry, the problem that I have is Vernon and Petunia have, in fact, brought up Harry. That kid was dropped in their doorstep out of nowhere. Maybe they just decided they wanted to have one kid.
It's not even like they had 9 months or 10 months to prep.
That was it.
Okay.
There was a letter. And
Here's your baby.
Here's a baby, and you got to take care of it.
Hope you have an extra crib.
And they do. They do take care of him. Now, granted, they're not the best parents in the whole wide world, but they've given the kid food. They stayed up with him in the middle of the night. They changed his diapers. They did everything that a parent is supposed to do. They hold it against him. There is a love aspect. I understand.
Some may argue that that's the most important one, but the caring for, the actual lodging and feeding, they basically did like your room and board package at college. They covered
right and
/ diaper change.
And my question to you, Mary, is Harry is hiding cake under the floorboard, or he's having friends send the food via their owls. Is Harry justified in doing this?
And eating cake from his friends?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though he has agreed to the outer world that he is doing this diet, And
what do you mean he hasn't agreed to it? He's been forced to do it. He doesn't want to eat grapefruit.
That's true. That's true.
He has to follow their rules. I would totally sneak cake in.
I wonder
who in their right mind at 14 years old, who is a skinny rail who has to wear clothes that are 5 sizes too big or more, wouldn't take cake from their friends for his birthday. On your birthday, you want cake.
You do want cake. Absolutely. I wonder if we're okay with Harry eating cake and getting away with things throughout the Harry Potter franchise because he's Harry.
Honey. No, I just think he's a 14-year-old kid, but also Gryffindor. Now, if this was Luna Lovegood, I feel like Luna may question it. Maybe like, well, under this roof we do eat grapefruit, but they treat him like crap. No, yeah, it's not like he's hanging out with someone who treats him. If this was the Weasleys' house and they loved him and they treated him and they were like, listen, Harry, we can't have peanut butter in here because Ginny's allergic. Okay, so this is a rule. I doubt Harry would be sneaking in peanut butter, but they treat him nicely.
That's also with the Weasleys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They treat him nicely.
Yeah, right.
The Dursleys don't treat him nicely.
Right. So that's why I'm saying, is Harry justified in doing it?
Yes.
I'm not saying that the Dursleys are good parents. They're not, because they've given Harry no love whatsoever.
Yeah, so...
But
they just gave him room and board.
when Harry is doing these things to the Dursleys, and the Dursleys are doing these things to Harry, I know what it takes to raise... a child.
You just want to eat cake right now, and you're taking Vernon's perspective, where Vernon probably is dreaming of cake, and if he only knew that there were 4 cakes in his house, what Vernon would do, right?
I want cake in the worst way right now.
I know.
I really want cake.
That's what it is. That's like craving cake.
Okay, so we got a bunch of questions here. Let's see. Caitlin says, for the first time reading the book, so I don't know if this comes up, but why, when Harry is with the Dursleys, is he wearing Dudley's clothes, but at school he seems to have his own clothes that fit? Why not wear the clothes from school? Probably because Vernon doesn't want any Hogwarts material in his house, like, at all, like, to be proliferated.
In the books, they, like, wear, like, school clothes. So in the movies, we see a lot of just their regular streetwear. Like, obviously, Harry goes to, like, I don't know. He probably went to the Gap because he was our age. So he probably went to, like, the Muggle Gap of the day.
But I
to go
also
like, jeans and a T-shirt.
I also think there's an aspect of this, too, that, Vernon even says, Harry, don't mention that school's name. And even Molly doesn't mention Hogwarts.
But doesn't he have a pair of jeans that fit? Or sweatshirt that fits?
My guess is that he doesn't want any magical material from that world in his house. Because, again, you see it with the letter. The letter looked funny. I think that's probably one of the reasons why. You have a couple of people here, Mary, just putting lightning bolts.
Oh, you have to send me a message with a lightning bolt. If you're just dropping lightning bolts in the chat, that won't alert me. So send me a message with a lightning bolt if you're interested in learning more of Minute with Mary.
Ellen says, imagine Voldemort with Pig Widget's voice. It'd be so less intimidating.
You'll lose, Harry Potter. Everything.
Ellen says, what do you think of Hagrid's specialty cake flavor is? I'm personally a fruitcake fan myself. Yes, I know that makes me sound 80. I am out on fruitcake. Fruitcake it's like too dense and it's too many flavors and it's just too much stuff happening. I feel like Hagrid, you know what Hagrid does? Hagrid's like a maple walnut kind of guy. He's a maple flavored cake with like maybe like a nice cinnamon frosting.
Something cozy.
Something very Christmassy.
Maybe with a little texture. Even though you're not big into nuts in the cake, maybe something with like a raisin. Yeah, so I see like fruit cakes. Yeah, I could see that. Some coziness. JL says, will you be covering a Harry Potter musical after the books? Maybe. We hadn't planned on it, but maybe. I mean, talk to us when we're done with the books and all the movies and the plays and... the Fantastic Beasts, and I would love to. Sure. Grace asks, after being mistreated for so long, how does Harry not tell any of his professors about it? You know McGonagall would stop that nonsense in a heartbeat. I don't think she would, because she could have. she knew that they were the worst sort of muggles she's ever seen.
Yeah, it's kind of. Also, I think there's a smattering of narrativium here. If the wizards were to step in and fix whatever was happening with the Dursleys, there's no more conflict between the Muggle and Wizarding world. There's no more tension between.
And I just don't think Harry would speak up about it. I think Harry feels like he can push it aside when he's at Hogwarts. I think he's grown sadly a very tough skin.
Maryanne says, have you listened to the British version of the audiobooks? Because Stephen Fry is hilarious with the narration of the characters.
I haven't in a very long time.
Yeah, no, I've never listened to them.
Good call.
Mo says Harry will still need all the copays after being raised
all
by
of
the
them?
Dursleys. So many copays that
and we don't joke in a problem sense. Blake and I are true believers in therapy. So if you ever hear us say all the copays, it's because we believe in the power of copays for therapy.
Jayla says, now I really want cake and I don't do sugar anymore. Ugh.
Good for you.
Yeah,
all
I
right.
think that's it.
It is.
Well, let's close out this bad boy, shall we, Marvin?
We shall.
Let's do it.
We wanted to remind you all that we have a complimentary texting service if you want to be alerted when we go live on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. If you're in the U.S., just pull out your phone and text the phone number 81010, so 81010, and in the message field, the @ symbol and then Elder1, all together, no spaces, @Elder1, ELDERWAND. I send you a complimentary text. If you're outside of the U.S., you can simply go to remind.com/join/Elderwand, and I let you know when we're going live or if our kids are acting up and we need to postpone something, so that way you can come on in and join us.
Remember, too, go to MaryanneBlake.com. Check out all the great podcasts that we have going on. We just, last night, finished up This Is Us Season 5. So we have done all of This Is Us. And, of course, we have the MCU Diaries coming back in the first week of June or second week of June. Very excited about that. And we'll be focusing on the show Loki for Disney+. MaryanneBlake.com. Check out all those great podcasts.
M. Westphal on Apple Podcasts wrote, great podcast. I'm a longtime Harry Potter movie fan, but have actually never read the books. I just finished the first book and rewatched the first movie and will continue this throughout the rest of the books and movies. I discovered Maryanne Blake earlier this year and love all of their podcasts. I knew I had to listen to the Potterverse since I've listened to every one of their podcasts. It's nice hearing their experienced readers and fans talk about their opinions of the chapters as well as good in-depth analysis. Definitely recommend. Thank you so much, and anyone else who has submitted a review and rating
yes
on Apple Podcasts, we want to thank you as well.
We've gone way over the music, Mary.
I guess it's a problem when I'm not wearing my headphones. I don't get the memo. Just know that when you write a review and a rating, it's like a hug to Blake and I. We're up to 128 right now on Apple Podcasts, so we would love it.
Oh, by the way, we didn't make this announcement. I'm gonna keep the music going.
I mean, why
Hold on.
not? Yeah.
There we go. I'm just gonna hit it again. By the way, we didn't make this announcement on this podcast. We are now in the top 5 Harry Potter podcasts in the world. In the world, top 5 Harry Potter podcasts. It is wild that this is a thing, and really, it's all because of you folks. When we started this podcast, I thought and I knew that it was going to be fun for Mary and I. I knew that it was going to be more of a thank you to our current listeners. But when I look at that and I see that we're in the top 5 Harry Potter podcasts in the world, it's all because we're getting new listeners for this podcast, and because those listeners are sharing with all their nerd friends. And all of our current listeners are just enjoying the show.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for reviewing and rating and for sharing. It really does mean a lot to us. This is something that we care very deeply about, our podcast and media company. We put our heart and souls into it, so just know that this news means a lot to us.
Yes, it does.
My name's Mary.
And my name's Blake, and now we can officially close out the show the way we're supposed to.
Mischief managed. Yay! Thank you all so much for joining us live, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Remember, you can still take this moment to share. If you're on Instagram, do me a favor, do a little screen capture. You just press the top buttons, bloop, and we'll take a little picture of your phone. Pop it in your stories once you're off of here and tag us at Maryanne Blake Media. Tell your fellow Potter friends. Check this couple out. They podcast about Potter on Thursday nights. Facebook friends, hit that share button onto your wall, your stories, your favorite Harry Potter groups, or as I said earlier in the beginning of this episode, to share with any of your friends who you know have ever read or watched the Harry Potter series, to invite them to join on in. YouTube friends, you can share however and wherever you like. The world is your oyster. Thank you all again so very much. We hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk with you soon.